Welcome, everyone. Oh, 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 oh. Well. Today, we are gonna dive into some things. Mostly just one thing, actually. We're gonna talk about how color grading has changed in Hollywood in the last decade. Yeah, last decade, because that's all we care about, last decade. Let's see. So to compare, I don't need to go to my personal one. I could just use incognito here. Let's see. So the new Mission Impossible trailer, we get to see some very nice coloring here. So let's take a look.
When mission possibilities become highly impossible, to the point of
trailer. God dang it, how did I fall for that? Alright, here we go. Sorry. Yes.
Our lives are not defined by...
Sorry, so I should say before. So, what I'm looking for, or that I want to address, I should say, is that the colors that are used, you can say have remained the same, but how the crew, the people that set up the lights, so lighting and cinematographer, their work has gone through a shift, and I want to compare some of these changes just by looking at how action films mostly have evolved in terms of coloring and highlighting points of interest through lighting and color. I mean, of course, since we are talking about Hollywood, all the teams that do great work in Hollywood, I mean, the word, the techniques, it's all gonna spread as people adapt and get inspired by one another and others' work. So it's inevitable that some of these changes would come about. So yeah, back to the clip here.
Any one action.
Yeah, so like for example here, how would they have lit this scene 10 years ago? Or let's say if we just go back to Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, for example, how would they have lit this scene? Because if we look at Ghost Protocol, right? If we can see some images. Yeah, like this is a good one. Like this is where Ethan has just I forgot, he's boarded a secret train that with Hawkeye. Can't remember his name at the moment. Jeremy Renner, and they are briefing for their next step. But in this scene, it's kind of, you could say, similar, how should I say, similar, it's very similar. Oh, maybe this one would be better. Yeah. Or this one? Yeah, there we go. This one's very high res. Very similar situation. No, that's not true. It's not a similar situation, but I guess what I'm trying to say is that it is a very high-tech environment enclosed space that's going to cause light to react in a very specific way. It's contained. And also the type of colors that you would choose for a metallic, confined space is going to naturally gravitate towards one direction, and in this case, cooler colors. And I wish I could make this bigger. Let me see. Open image. There we go. Yeah. So if we were to, compare, we can see how. See, you'll see similar specks of color, or similar shades of color being used throughout film history, like film history in general, like just films. And it has been probably almost perfected down to a science at this point. And you can see the decision to really push it here. And yeah, so you can clearly see why didn't they, for example, for the wall here, they have a more kind of lit cyan, heading towards the more greenish side tint here. And whereas this wall here, you could argue it's more shaded and heading towards the darkness, into the shadows, so it would be naturally heading towards black. But you could argue like they could have put lights down here, like maybe in the waters. You could argue like they could have had lights that were motivated by lighting under the water, so whoever would maintain these servers or whatever this is. I have no idea what this is, but you could argue that those lights could be planted beneath the water there for the people that do maintenance there, and so you could have chosen a light to cast from under to hit. Oh, I have to use the mouse. I'm pointing, but you guys can't. So the light could hit these walls here, and you could argue like you could have gone with like one of these, like this color here, because clearly it complements it here very well. But they didn't. They chose to, go for a very neutral, almost towards gray here. On my monitor, well, okay, I'm also using night light, so I have to turn down. Alright, so it is kind of towards the cool grays. Yeah, and yeah, so now I'm not going to try to argue why they didn't do that. Like, clearly, the scene is very different, the environment. This is clearly a actual like cement wall or granite. This is actually a rock, whereas this is whatever material is used for interior structures inside of a moving vehicle. So. Very different, clear, and also there's the very strong sources of light here, spotlights, you could almost say, that are shining from certain directions. So having more lights here could possibly, be too much, because you want to direct your viewer's eyes to a certain specific point. And I think, this area here is clearly where the eyes are supposed to lead towards, or even the characters are supposed to head towards that direction, so you want the lights to be here. Having too much here can the way this shot has been set up could kind of maybe take away from that. But the point still stands that the way, even for close-ups, I guess. So go ahead.
Our lives.
I also want to talk about grass too. Mission Impossible did something with 2018's Fallout. They did a grading in one of the scenes with Tom Cruise that I think was very unusual. But yeah, we'll get back to
Some of our choices. Everything you are.
Man, it's so clean. Like right here, there's like I really like how this is almost pure white, because you rarely see this type of white in movies. Am I wrong? It's always usually like a cool color, like a cyan, like a bluish tinted color. They'll always eat for action movies. And over here, I like how they went with like a kind of warm color here, because a lot of times they probably would have like opted for like green or something, right? But since there is a red here, like yeah, like they might, if they wanted to go very dramatic, like they could have gone like a green, but they kind of went towards like a yellowish tone. But then they also, I like the way they didn't make it spill over too strongly. It kind of like evens, like you actually see like a natural gray kind of coming through from the canceling out of the, or that's not a good example, like around here, and even the door. How often do you see like doors like metallic doors in action movies that aren't like cooled out in color? Like they very rarely show like a actual silver color, unless it's like during like daytime exterior lighting coming in, pouring in and hitting the object. But
Everything.
And did they regrade this old movie footage, or did it always look this clean?
Everything you.
Oh yeah, I really like this lighting here too. Like look, this is what I'm talking about. This type of blue that's almost just like desaturated to the point where it's like it almost just seems like silverish or gray. It just feels so clean here. And like a lot of the time, like spots like here would be more, they would let it be more warmer, because it's like I don't recall seeing a lot of scenes just be like close to just pure white, you know what I mean? And I really like the look that they're going for here. It's like it feels super clean and feels crisp, and I think it really suits the level of film, if I can, like that. This
are.
And you know, right there we just saw. They still do like use, see, this is what I mean by when they use like warmer colors. Like they do go very warm still. Like that kind of reminds me of like 2012, Skyfall, when Bond goes to China, Shanghai, was it? Yeah, there's a lot of great use of gold there, but
Everything you've done.
yeah, I also like, how many other times have we seen underwater explosions like this? Like maybe in one of the Fast and Furious films, the one with the submarine. Was that 10 or 9? I think it was 9, right? But the way that they chose this yellow, it's very, like on the color spectrum, it's like very proper. It's like yellow and the complementary like lightning blue. I don't know if I'm making sense there, but I don't know. I kind of dig it. Big fan of that.
Has come to this. When the need for certainty is
Oh, we really love the lighting here too in this
absolute,
day show.
and the odds are
Oh my goodness. Really great use of these spotlights, flashlights here. But also, yeah, like so in older films, like wouldn't there be like a lot more lit in the background, showing more like more environment? But maybe for this trailer, it's they purposely chose a cut where they're only showing this.
deemed
Yeah, again, this is like bottom, so we're on the floor viewing, looking upwards towards
impossible.
the surface. Yeah, and here, again, I just, this choice of color just feels very unusual to me, at least for the films that I've seen. But, it just feels so good. I just love the colors that they're picking here.
The mission.
Goodness, and then the water, I don't know. What? Doesn't this look so good? Like slight lens flares here, the water, the blues, and really like this hot red, this like almost like glowing metal red here. But then also this. Oh man, that just looks so clean. I mean, we've seen this in like some of those Alien. I've never seen any of the Alien films, but I don't remember if they looked as clean as this does. But this looks fantastic. You can see all the way to this, like the face. But I mean, plenty of films have done great costume designs that actually show the actors' faces very well. But I don't know what it is about their integration of the suit into this particular scene here. Like, it's just really what I really like this right here. it's just so clean, and then the splashes here just picking up slight. Does this make sense? This looks so good. Okay, you know what? I think this deserves to be full screened at this point. Yeah, and so like here with the water. Oh, what is something I could compare this one with? So if we only focus here on where Tom Cruise is right here. In fact, this when it's paused like this, it looks like this part that I'm circling with my mouse is the real footage, and it's just kind of been stitched in with mixed CG and reference. I don't know how they did it, but it just kind of looks that way here. There's like a slight cut here, but yeah. So this looks different in that. So if we were to think about how they would have done lit or even designed the set back 10 years ago for this scene, how different would it look? Let's see. I feel like the slight lighting up above, they might have more like light pouring in from above, no? And then in the older films, they might have something glowing from that entrance there, maybe like a little warm color there. Use of red here is very good. The water shooting out from there. choices of these objects here to kind of add a little lightness. Would this again, like would this have been like tinted more green? So if this was more saturated, it could be like more towards that cyan, right? And like what that I feel like they would have done that in the like early or late 2000s, maybe like early 2010s. But yeah, and then this water spewing out, would they have kept it at this exposure? Like, would they not have gone through to the efforts to make this more brighter, more closer to white? I feel like would they have done that? Possibly. Maybe. Okay, so
The mission falls to him.
yeah. Okay, so this is great. This is great. Love that. Would they have done? I feel like, yeah, not much too different that they.
Should he choose to accept?
Okay. Okay. Suddenly drawing a blank here. Not all close-ups. I feel like they do light close-ups a lot different too. But we're gonna. Wait, hold on.
To accept.
Okay, this looks great. Yeah, early 2010s. This would be a lot warmer here, especially like around here, around these parts. Be a lot warmer. Cloud would be closer to. No, maybe the clouds would, the grayer parts would be. It would be a little different. I just can't recall. It just can't. It's not coming to me right now what exactly, but and also these mountains. Like this is what I mean. Like, I don't. This type of blue that they're using here is like very. It's just so. It feels more natural. If that makes sense. Oh man, I don't know how to describe it though. How do I describe this? It's like. Like for example, even if we go to Civil War, Black Panther, and what was Zemo? Yeah. This when they're at this point.
You should have seen his letter.
Maybe this is not a great example because this is very. It's much more desaturated. Okay, yeah, never mind. What about Inception? Scene. Where's the part where they're briefing? Avalanche. Well, this is also not a good example because Nolan uses a film, so the color. Okay, you can see a little bit of that in the boots there. No, actually, this is almost towards like a reddish gray, very... Okay, I cannot think of a typical mountain snowy shot, but okay, whatever. I just...
For every life you tried to save.
Love that spotlight coming down. Oh, yeah. Not much. I just... It's just... Everything is lit so clean now. Not to say that there wasn't clean... Lighting wasn't very clean and well done before, but... I mean, we are in a digital age now. Okay, here's a good one. I can actually finally have something to talk about. So, their decision to film at a particular time of day at a specific location, factoring in the coordinates of where the sun's going to be at the certain time of day. So in this scene, the sun is coming from somewhere in the top right, shining towards the left, so you can see the shadows there. And this is very, very interesting because not only does it create like these very well placed shadows, but it also doesn't interfere with the okay, now that I'm seeing it, this is kind of interesting that the shadowed side of everyone is still pretty bright, all things considered. I don't know how. I mean, they could have had another bounce or another huge light source from the left, whatever shape that took. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that they could have lit this on like an overcast, very even lighting day, right? So that they don't have to deal with shadows. They could have still done the same placement of the camera and the characters in this scene. But then the shadows, we wouldn't have the shadows here to help do some of the work with guiding our eyes towards the point of interest here, right here. I can see that they did do a little bit of, I guess you could say, vignetting here to artificially lower the brightness of the soldiers here. These soldiers here, they're at an angle where the light is bouncing off right into the camera, so it's creating those hot spots. So even if you lower those, you'll still get those. Yeah, again, really, their choice of color is just so punctual, should I say? Oh, what should I say? Like this blue is just so and like this I mean, is teal even the right, like, is that like baby shark blue? Shark blue here. It's almost as if they either desaturated a little or lowered the luminance on this. And basically, I really like the direction that Mission Impossible films, the more recent Mission Impossible films, have been taking, how they've been handling the blues in their films. and in the scenes, in the frame. I like how they're handling the blues, how they're choosing to manipulate them, and how they're choosing to control how much it stands out, while still being able to have the desired effect of, creating that right amount of color contrast while keeping things tasteful and organized. I don't know what it is, but I really like this almost pure white. It's like not adulterated with, some green or yellow or, on like a here, and I think due to this shift in their choices of color, they're also able to get this blue that feels very professional, but it's also like maybe it is closer to real life, how we see it in person, right? But it's also just done in a very clean way that just it still feels very cinematic, but it feels very appropriate for this kind of action film, I think. I don't know. I just really like this color. Yeah, I really like how they've handled the blues here. Again, this is tricky because now they've changed angles. They still had to... Who knows what happened to you still see the shadows of it. Right. So the lighting is clearly a lot different because this side and this... Because the sun was originally shining from right to left here, so these people's faces theoretically would be a lot brighter than theirs. But, I mean, this looks great. Yeah, again, loving this almost pure white look with the blues that just looks so good and clean, and not like kind of tainted by like that pull towards the greens a little. It just looks very clean and refined.
You gambled millions more.
Again, oh my goodness, this looks so good with the red, blue. Oh my goodness, it's so clean. Oh, okay, then when they turn off the reds, you can see the warmer colors here. Oh my goodness, that looks so good. And again, this scene feels... I feel like we've seen a lot of this kind of background or this kind of lighting in like a lot of Marvel films, so this doesn't feel too different, I guess. Feels pretty familiar, we can say. But again, their execution with that very specific blue that they're using, it just looks so good. And again, so the way they've decided to light everyone here, they've kind of hit Sherlock's older brother here. Just kidding. I just do not know his full name. So, respectfully, they've lit his face a little harder here because we have someone here with a darker complexion that's going to need a little more extra light. And it's very cleverly, the light does not hit this character as hard because it's maybe if the hot spot is the way they blocked all these characters. I guess you could say it's done very, very cleverly. That the character of most importance is lit the most evenly, the most properly, and the others are still perceived in the peripheral, or just it doesn't call attention to itself while still doing its job.
Millions more.
Love the reds coming in. Like, look at this. Got the gold, blue, red. Love it. So good, especially on the glasses there. That's, yeah, that blue just looks so good. Again here. Okay, you can see it's I don't know if I like it so much here. It's like a little overdone maybe here. I think they could have, I mean, this is a compressed, I mean, this is a trailer snippet, so you know, who knows what version of this footage they're showing is, how much they could have changed. But overall, yeah, I think I don't know how well this is working for me personally, this blue here, like this, just on the monitor that I'm viewing it at, but looks great.
And now the fate of every living
Yeah, so if we take reference from other action films involving the US military, I guess the closest reference could be like the White House. This is not the White House, is it? No, it's, oh dear. I'm so sorry, I don't know what building this is. I don't even think this is in America. Okay, so I'm okay. All right, so, but to be fair, the White House is more white than this, so that makes sense. Okay, but regardless, I think the way they would have handled the exposure for buildings like this, I think would have been a lot different in like the 2010s. Personally, I feel like it would have been doesn't have enough, if it doesn't have enough grunge to it. It doesn't have enough grit too. This looks very clean if we're just comparing to like the 2010s. Which I guess could, yeah, so these parts look somewhat artificially, like, okay, not artificial, like they're a little bit, they're a bit raised to the point that it's, if you were to be there in person, no, that's not a good way to say. If you were to grade this portion of the building here accurately, I don't think this is how it would come out. This almost seems like they graded it and then they've lifted that grade up, if that makes sense to somebody. But anyways, even their first original grade before lifting, I feel like in the 2010s they would have definitely gone a little bit lower exposure, or they would not have filmed on a day where the sunlight is coming at an angle, so the building is just in the shadow, like most of these parts is in the shadow. I don't think they would have lit that way. So I feel like maybe the sun would have been from the viewer's perspective pointing towards the building, maybe. That way I would have been hit more or from a high angle. So I mean, you still need the dark areas here to be somewhat shrouded, because I don't think they would have wanted the sunlight to go all the way in to light up those back areas. So in order to create shadows, they would have lit in the part of day, or filmed on the part of day where the sun's kind of high up but also in front of the building. I feel like I'm right on that, because they would not have like these little spots like this, and yeah, or the sun is above and behind the building, because I do think the shadowy side being on the backs of the people kind of makes sense. I don't know. Okay, I don't know about that one.
Soul on Earth.
Oh my goodness, this blue looks so good. Okay. And again, they've interestingly added some of these lights for depth perception, to give us hints of scale beyond what is obvious in front of us. So I love that. But their choice of color and the type of green, it's like so cleverly done. It's like green, but then also that cyan. It just seamlessly blends in so that these flashlights aren't out of place. It just like you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, because the way this is lit right now, this is lit like a scene, like for example, like a very dark, foggy night scene on like a castle wall, and yeah, this would be like a torch or something, except the torch is a very golden light here, like very perfectly golden. Like or what I meant by the fog is like the background here, this lack of showing like more of the ocean floor, like they've kind of done it here, but they've stopped. It's almost like they've done that to prevent too much extra detail, but it's like it's very tastefully done, should I say. Yeah, I don't know. It just looks. Oh, man. Like what other films have used this choice of color like this? I don't know. Wow, you literally get the RGB there, and this blue. Oh my goodness. And that water looks so clean.
Your responsibility.
Yeah, see here we got a little bit like the greenish walls here. That's fine. And then we got that very blue. Lighting the reds back in I don't know, back in 2010s, did they ever go just dramatic, just all red? Because I feel like this type of color usage became pretty widely used in like after 2018. I'm thinking like Hobbs and Shaw comes to mind. I don't know which particular scene. Could be really wrong on that. And Black Widow. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of films that have used pure red, but I don't know. Not like this. again, this purple, this blue. I don't know. I mean, this almost just looks like a perfectly white balanced footage from a cinema camera, but I kind of like it. Like, this looks very naturalistic to the point where it makes me question if they replaced these bulbs here with their own. Okay, maybe they didn't have to go and do that. I guess they could have graded all these lights to this color, but excuse me. Yeah, I mean, of course they could always just replace the environment entirely CG as well to kind of pick the lights that they would want. But I mean, I can't be the only one thinking this, that their choice of this close to natural white light, it just looks so clean, right? I'm not the one. I'm not just saying things, right? Like, I'm pretty sure you all agree with me. Like, again, this is lit like so. I feel like 2010s
Pattern.
definitely would have seen more shadow here, maybe, and not as much either. No, I feel like the backlight here would be a lot hitting a lot harder, closer to white. But this is like a tasteful. It's like so properly thought out, like to the T. I don't know. It's just, I really love the red dots just sprinkled throughout this. How many of these lights were shifted from a different color? That's what I'm curious about. But it looks so good. Kind of creates a sense of urgency as well. I really like that.
Isn't it?
Hold on now. Really like the choice of beige, or this, what is this? They're all wearing kinda like on that sand to dirt colors, and then casting a slight, ever so slight cool color over it, and it creates this nice effect, and the skin tones get ever so gently cooled while still retaining some of that warm highlight. So would this be cool undertones? Cool undertone with a very soft, warm overtone, like a light source. Again, I don't know what it is, like how would they have shot or exposed a scene like this back at the 2010s? Like, I feel like there would be a lot more contrast, a lot more shadow, darker shadows here, throughout, and also the water would probably be more saturated because it would be a deeper blue. Then the overall, yeah. So basically, the increased contrast would cause more saturation with these blue jets as well, and the night light is coming back on. Like even if they chose like a overcast day to even out the lighting, which I guess you could argue is what's going on here, or this is like golden hour because there's still the warm gold light hitting certain parts, like especially like right here you can see. Oh man, but it's just so controlled to the point where it's like I love how everything is lit so clean now. I don't know. Oh man, like if we think about Avengers helicarrier scene, right? There has to be like here, yeah, like this.
Mike, secure the neck.
Is this a...
This must be an HDR or yeah, see. Okay, wait, maybe this is not a good example. Actually, yeah, Avengers, I love the way they lit it too. The type of blue that they've colored the sea is vastly different though, if you can see. Like, yeah, see, this blue is like a more naturalistic blue. And they've done some manipulation here to kind of yeah. The best way I could describe it is this scene is lit maybe a couple hours before golden hour, whereas this is like golden hour that's about to dip. No? Yeah, right? I haven't been outside in a while, so I can't really say. But wait, if it was when the sun is dipping, like that's probably when the contrast would be the greatest, actually. Well, I need to see. Yeah, I mean, it just must be that they've decided to light during golden hour, but then just lift up the dark sides dramatically to get this look, which is done in a way it just looks so good.
Here.
Oh my goodness. Whenever I see this, we see some of that in Fast 9. I believe it was. Artwork.
I am not too weak in your
Been a long time down.
No,
Where is it? Where is it?
Hold on.
Tell me you're not thinking what I think you're thinking. There's no bridge!
Oh, hell no.
Kinda got that color going on. Yeah, you can see they're using this similar colors. It's just that the excuse me, the lens is being hit differently with the light here. I guess you could say they've done the exposure, handled the exposure differently here. But over here, yeah, so you see that similar colors here. But if over here, you could just say it's a more dark, saturated version of what we see there. Love that. I think, where else can we find something like this? Like Jumanji? I don't know. This cliff just looks so good. Like, how did they get it to look so golden yet not too yellow? Just looks so good with that blue.
You refuse to sacrifice.
Again, I don't know. Go back to this photo. Also, I feel like did they change the type of light that they allow to hit the front of their actors' faces? Like everything looks so much more softer compared to the harsher direct light.
The ones who
This is also 1080p footage, whereas this is a high-res photo.
hold.
Yeah, like, look. I don't know if it's the choice of lenses. No. But they're definitely doing things different with how they handle the faces. I don't know what it is.
Close.
Again. Yeah, this is interesting here. Choice of green there. Again, that blue. Frick. That blue. Why this specific blue and yellow here? Like, I think by this point, like, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Helicopter scene. Yeah, ever since, yeah, they're using that specific shade of blue, that tone. It just looks very, yeah, look, oh my goodness. I know you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Like other action films I haven't seen do that. It looks so good. Yeah, in particular. Yeah, this is an edited footage, but the blues I think are still accurate. Like, yeah, this blue, I feel like most films would be heading more towards the greener side. Love this. Love this brown here. Might have manipulated that a little. Dang, that orange, very clean. Man, how are they? Love the skin color here. Then being hit by that. So that, okay, they're being hit by a warmer light. And then a very cool shadow that's giving them a cool undertone. Or cool overtone. (2010s), they would have been lighting this side more, maybe. Then again, this could, it also depends on the tone of this actual scene. If it's more like a, you know, less of a uppity action fight scene and more of like a grim, dark action scene, might be more darker. But they did allow the light bounce from the barrel to motivate a slight raise with the red light cast onto his face there, so you can still read his face. So yeah, yep, this knife 2010s would have been more saturated, but right now it's just balanced just to the point where it creates enough color contrast, separation from the skin here. Man, just right there. Fridges, that blue. I'm telling you, the blue that they choose to use in these films affects the type of warm colors that they shift towards, and I kind of really.
You've always been.
Oh my goodness gracious! This is almost just pure white. Just looks so clean. Like, I remember seeing like the Jumanji trailers with The Rock and Kevin Hart, and I mean those films were very well lit too, but this just looks so clean to me. I don't know. Yeah, they're hitting the highlights with like that very subtle white.
On the right side, brother.
I love that they hit the side of his face, the shadow side of his face, with like a green. Normally this would be, you know, just darker, but I mean, this fits for his character too. I guess you could say is the, well, I guess Benji's the hacker, but Luther is also quite savvy himself, you know, so he's got that light, which I'm presuming is off some device that's shining onto his face, so it's very clever, and it still gives that feeling of darkness without being actually dark, but it's still, I don't know, it just seems very smart to me. Of course, I don't know anything, but oh man, the way this water looks, I feel like that has to be CG. Like, how did they get it to look this good?
I have no regrets.
I'm not saying they didn't do that scene for real.
Regrets.
I'm saying that the original water that was in the actual set is probably being replaced with CG water, and it looks great. If I'm wrong, I am so sorry. I meant no offense.
I have no regrets.
Looks so.
Neither should you.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, the way they decide to hide the light behind this rock and then have the light on this vehicle to shine and bounce off the floor and hit the dirt or smoke, and having just these lights back here. I don't know what it is. They've just... Oh my goodness, this looks so good. Oh my. Oh my. I don't know. Like they just... Just looks so good.
I need you to trust me.
Yep, that is definitely. But yeah, like man. Oh, I don't know how to describe it. I mean, films have been, I feel like, have films been adopting different focal lengths that they've been kind of gravitating towards? Or is it that they've been changing the cameras that they're using, like with the different sensor sizes, that is causing this change? But oh man, I wish I could pinpoint exactly what it is that they're changing about the way that they're lighting close-ups as well. It just looks so good. Well, this camera is slightly lower position, so it's natural that we're not going to see more shadow in the neck area. Yeah.
One last time.
Can't wait for that. Can't wait for that. But you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Like if we look at the Lord of the Rings, the original trilogy, the way they light just anything. Here. Alright, now pause this frame. How would they have lit this in Rings of Power? Alright, well, right off the bat we could probably say I feel like they would have placed the sun on the other side. This shadow with the dragon. I just cannot put my finger on it. Like, opening battle. Yeah, here we go. There.
To rule. So.
Where's the... Okay. Yeah. You see the lineup of oh man, this is a tough comparison. Oh, wait, sorry. What are the rings? What is the Towers Battle? Oh, Helm's Deep, Helm's Deep, Helm's Deep. I mean, disregarding... Wait, is this the best example? Maybe you're
Darkness!
Oh, it's just so hard. I cannot pinpoint the change in how they decide to light the scenes. Okay, so if I can just put my hands, or if I can describe it as best I can. Nowadays we have stages where we the wall that can accurately create 180 degree field of view of environments with accurate color accuracy and lighting that will allow for reflections on hard surfaces, reflective surfaces, and the lighting can be controlled very finely, which also means night scenes can be controlled very, very tightly. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's no doubt that a lot more constraints and complexity has in lighting has gone into this scene compared to this specific scene, and that does not necessarily mean it's superior in evoking certain emotions or feel a general sense of feeling from the viewer. If you view this scene here, you can innately pick up on that this scene was filmed outside. Oh boy, if I am completely wrong on this. Let's just put it this way. A very strong light source that imitates the sun, or is the sun, is being used here, and a lot of the color, or a lot of what you see in the frame is colored, controlled in post, whereas a lot of this lighting you can argue is controlled on the digital set. And to my point, I think that this creates two different, very different feeling types of film or media or visuals. because here it just feels so, just feels like a very, it almost feels like a painting that an artist I mean, the more I look at it, the more I'm seeing clever use of rain and making excuses for fogging, creating depth with haze in the background. Sure, they've done some here as well, but I guess this one's different too, because the light, the warmness is coming from torches, which you could kind of set the motivation to be, say, placed randomly, so you can kind of, yeah, like here, so it gives you permission to kind of choose how you want to play with that. But then they also cleverly use helmets that are slightly warmer than the armor piece to be able to create points of interest along with the fires. Whereas here, of course, very different scene. This is a daylight scene. But even if we compare the Rings of Power, day fight scene, I don't know if that's going to even come. Oh, here it goes. Where is it?
Sequences were really
What
real.
tough? Pardon me. Nope. Yeah, I mean, to conclude, I think we've talked long enough about this. No one can deny, I don't think anyone can deny that the way that these artists have decided to change how they frame things, frame certain shots, has evolved. The use of color has become more controlled, along with how they light. The lighting has become extremely controlled. And that results in a very clean looking image. Cleaner, because this image here, yes, it is, I mean, we are focusing on the orcs, but even here, this lighting is a lot less controlled. Controlled here. it is still controlled very smartly, intelligently, and with direction and with intent to have the viewers be able to register details that the director wants them to pick up on. But I don't think anyone can deny the fact that they've been at this for a long time now. They're getting better and better. Their styles are shifting. They are always shifting. But will it come at a cost? Will all that work and effort that goes into doing all this come at a cost in does it all come at a cost? Is this part of a problem or the result of a problem? Now, hold on, stay with me here. I think that films have gone through an interesting change within the past 6-7 years due to, I recall there was just this very incessant need for people to start showing wider frames or wider angles, like more of the action and less, like longer takes. So like those long oneers, like, oh look, we show all this action in a one shot, or a oneer, a long running shot, coupled with a wider angle lens so that the viewer can really see more of the scene. I remember that narrative or that paradigm being pushed really hard around that time, and like especially in 2020 with films like Extraction. It was well executed for sure, but I feel like once films like that are produced and there's a mass consumption in the populace, so that causes, I feel like that causes a ripple and affects artists' perception, because it now has opened them up to a whole new avenue of, what kind of focal lengths do we need to be trying to achieve that kind of look? And in pursuit of that, they then find new use cases for that focal length, or applying that focal length to older frameworks to make something new. And ultimately this causes a shift in how framing certain scenes is done. Like, for example, like a wide of these soldiers, like, ironically, this is a pretty wide lens, it seems. I'm not even going to try to guess, but you can see a very wide view of the soldiers. You could see all the way from the back of the line to the front. Now, if I recall, in the Rings of Power, that horse charge scene, They use it. Yeah. Like this, I mean, this is a pretty wide shot actually, but. And again, I guess another difference is the mass adoption to like the large format sensor, or like the larger sensors to create a shallower depth of field, like older films. Like I don't think these weapons would be as blurry as they are appearing. To be fair though, this is a close-up of, is this Elrond? Yeah, Elrond, but again here, just compare that to when the king is charging here. I can compare. Guess you could argue this is similar. Like, look at this. Like, yes, it is a wide angle that they're using here, but the placement that they've decided, I mean, you can clearly see you want the viewer to see. You want to be able to place Elrond at the center frame to show that he is the one that is leading and piercing this charge, or piercing with this charge. And unfortunately, this angle does not create, is not the best for being able to show the scale of the amount of people that are behind him. I mean, they're like, some of these gaps might have been done strictly for like a visual purpose to not be overwhelming, but you can really feel the difference here. I mean, this is probably the same amount of actors here. I mean, let's be honest, the ones in the back are probably CG, so maybe that's not even true. Well, actually, they probably use CG here as well. But their clever camera placement, they can do this, and it works because they've already established here, right? They've come at an angle, and they still show the king here in front. So we are able to read here just very quickly, peripherally, that we know where he stands in relation to the army. And this shot does such a better job of showing the scale of the men that are going to follow him in the charge. This the camera move here allows there to be a reveal of the back, the soldiers in the back too. But I don't know how well that works for me personally. And this shot, while it is like immersive by putting you in the point of view of the horses, you get to be directly a part of the charge. Interesting shot. This is a very like GoPro, you could just say it's a very modern type of shot. They probably would not use that in the older Lord of the Rings, unless it was for like a battering ram shot. Okay, yeah, I guess it's something different. I think it just because of these gaps, but I think they need to have these gaps here for just strictly visual purposes, so it's easier for the viewer to read like the direction that we're heading. Like we're able to see some of that background passing by, so we can like feel like we're moving. Whereas if this was covered just by a horse, it'd just feel too, I don't know, you just wouldn't know where to look, I guess. Whereas having that kind of helps you guide your eyes more towards here naturally without feeling weird. Because if you had horsemen all here, you would be like, do I look here? Do I look at these horses' butts? Like, you know, I don't know, I'm just thinking intuitively here. I don't know if that was their actual reasoning, but it doesn't really help the case. I think if there were more horse legs, I don't know, it's a tough one. I mean, realistically, in this horse charge, you know, if the camera was here, this might actually be what it looks like, honestly. But as a shot for kind of creating like that sense of like a strong collective force charging all together, I don't know if this is the best choice, right? Whereas here you can really it just works a little differently, a little better in my opinion, for yeah, what this type of horse charge you would want to the viewer to feel. But then again, you could argue this is a very different scenario, that in this scene they're just raiding a village, was it? And not, no, was it? Oh, whoops, this was season 2, right? My bad. That was in season 1, I think, right? Where Galadriel was leading the charge? Okay, my bad. But yeah, I yeah, this is a little better now. But again, taking this lower angle you are able to paint Elrond as in a more heroic light or pose, putting him above you and the viewer, so it gives him like that sense of power as he leads these men. But the camera not being raised higher, it kind of, again, you kind of don't get to see like the amount of soldiers, so if you feel like, oh yeah, they're kind of trying to cheat a little and like hide them behind the first line of soldiers in front for the camera, and behind is just whatever. But I mean, even if there are just as many CG characters to, you know, actually place behind, like it just doesn't read the same, I guess. Yeah, I'm actually a fan of how this looks. It's just I just cannot say how it feels so different. Like, disregarding the time of day and like their choice of going for a cooler color palette, I'm strictly just focusing on lighting, I guess, and the lenses, or the way that they frame and how they choose the distance from the subject to the actual camera. Because here again we're side faced. The way they've done this is more, I guess, to make it feel more direct, because the charge was coming forward and now they're facing forward, ready to meet them. Yeah, like the way they've lit in this one, they've been front lit, so the sun is hitting their face, whereas the sun is backlighting them in this. And so they have to bounce or use other light sources to maybe fill in the gaps in the front, which creates a very different feel. Yeah, that statement about the backlight, maybe that's not accurate, but they chose to go for more even lighting for this one. Okay. Oh, yeah. I'm honestly not sure what it is. They're using a very long lens there, whereas this one's a wide. To be fair, this is Archer lineup, so this kind of makes sense for them to use that framing. But do they do that for... Yeah. I feel like modern cinema, like even this type of shot, they would just do like a tighter shot on just a couple of the archers, and then these other archers would just be in bokeh. They'll be blurred in the background. So I don't know if it's just the collective shift from the lenses that these artists are deciding to use. Or just the difference in camera systems that use larger sensors, which, you know, because that forces, that has to be, that these are all deliberate choices, because the amount of blur that is produced at certain setups and distances from subjects is going to affect how you frame everything, how you're going to place the camera. Because if you use a sensor that is smaller, you can have more things in focus. Placing it in the same spot as a large format sensor, or, you know, full frame, and get vastly different results, and that's going to shift the way, like, certain shots just won't be used, I feel like, anymore in if the director chooses to use like large format sensor camera, cinema camera, with super fast lenses, they're literally not going to be able to create some shots that they used to get on like some of the smaller cameras, that just strictly due to the amount of blur and the amount of focusing that it's going to take. Like certain moving shots just would not be feasible, or be very difficult, I should say. But then again, with the advancement of things being, even focus being able to be done automatically to a high level, maybe it could just be resolved. But even if you nail the focus perfectly, and attempt a shot that a camera that has a smaller sensor, or that has a, what's the word, it's not shallower depth, what's deep, so is that called a deeper focal length, where everything's more throughout so like this camera, this webcam, everything's in focus, whereas if I had a large sensor camera, the door would be blurred, all this behind me would be blurred, which totally changes the composition and feeling of the shot. So yes, I feel like directors deliberately all adopting the modern standard of cameras, lenses, and yeah, I think cameras and the lenses are the most important because lighting can be manipulated. But ultimately, if the framing is affected, I think that will be the biggest change in how films feel. And yeah, if directors ever choose to go back to that deeper depth of field, or just like the sharper, like everything's more focused in the frame, it'll be a very deliberate choice, like a stylistic choice. At this point, like it would no longer be, it is no longer just a standard that just needs to be, I guess, yeah. Alright, I think that was way long enough. Again, I'm just a dude that loves films, and these are just some things that I've observed from consuming film media and just seeing others' opinions online about how films have changed, and seeing the direction of just the choice in everything from lighting to color to the type of cameras and lenses that they use, which affects the language of shots that get picked to to build the story. And I think it's kind of interesting because I think a lot of the changes in modern cinema, like what we've come to, has built upon everything that worked in the past, and there's a lot of good. But there's also a lot of things in the past that I think if directors take that creative jump of leap of faith, I think it could be great. Like I don't know, I think people they definitely do think that camera lens zooms are cheesy in films, but I don't know, I kind of feel like if executed properly, they can really work in the modern day films. But yeah, anyways, I just really love films, and I love talking about them. I love seeing how the taste of all these artists change over time. They evolve, and I can't wait to see how things continue to change, especially with the introduction and advancement of AI. So yeah, thanks for just listening in and hearing my thoughts. and I'd love to know if you overall agree, disagree, and I'd love to discuss more with you guys. So please feel free to leave your thoughts wherever this is posted. Alright, talk to you guys soon.